Abiding fam, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey Lee, and today we are going to be doing another chatty flip through in my Abiding journal. And I'm very excited about this flip through because we are flipping through April, which actually was the last month in my first insert in my Abiding journal. So this insert here for my journal documents January 1st all the way through April 30th as the last page, and that means that we are already 4 months in with a page a day in my Abiding journal, which is super exciting. And if you missed all of the other entries, you can see them by checking out all of the other flip throughs I've already done here on my channel. I have a playlist of them and I will put it up here in the cards. We've been doing monthly chatty flip throughs showing you every single page in my journal, and then when I finish an insert, which like I said I just did, we'll be doing a quick flip through of the entire insert so that you can see the pages at a glance as well. But today is a chatty flip through, so we're gonna take our time with it. So make sure you have a cup of tea or coffee with you, maybe grab a snack, because the chatty videos tend to be a little bit longer. So here we are on April 1st, and I am just gonna dive right in with the flip through and talk through these pages. So the design of this first entry was really centered around the fact that I finished an audiobook on this day. I had read The Invention of Wings by Sue Monk Kidd on my Libby app, which I highly recommend if you're not familiar with it. Libby is a free app that basically allows you to access audiobooks and ebooks from your local library. And so it's a great way to get free content and free books to read and also support your local library in the process. And that is where I listen to all of my audiobooks. So I read The Invention of Wings and finished it on this day. And then I had a lot of fun playing around with some of my printables from my Patreon page. I put out new printables every month with a new theme that my patrons get to vote on. And one of my more recent themes that they selected was called I Rather Be Reading. And I'll put a little image of that printable set up on the screen for you. But essentially I had a lot of fun playing around with different book illustrations. I had this great little review card that I made where you can write in the title and the author and give it a rating and write in a little bit of a review of the book. So I used that on the page, as well as this bookcase printable piece, as well as the little book stack and the row of books here at the bottom. So those were super fun to include on this page and very, very fitting. And then this printable here is also one that I designed, and this is from the Homebody collection of printables that my patrons voted for as well. So basically my patrons and I are very in tune with each other because these are all of my favorite things as well, books and reading and staying home. And so I love getting to use these in my own journaling as well, and they were perfect for this entry. So April 2nd was Good Friday, which is a very, very important day in my faith. And so I took the front of our bulletin from our church that we go to and tipped that into the journal using a strip of washi tape. And then I just used stickers and white gel pen and my stencil to design the front of the bulletin a little bit more, label it as Good Friday and put the date on it. And then I also did this little washi border around it. And then when you flip it up, I have the other very important thing that happened on this day, which was getting my COVID-19 vaccine. This was my first shot. So I have a few photos from getting my vaccine and then just cut these out of some of the materials that they gave us before getting the vaccine. And then underneath this card, this is not on the page, I just put it here to cover up my information, but this is my COVID-19 vaccine card that they give you, and so that is on this page as well. And then Saturday, April 3rd was Holy Saturday, and our church every year does a hike together to commemorate Holy Saturday and take some time to worship and reflect on the waiting period between Good Friday and Easter Sunday. And my husband Ben and I had the ability to lead the Holy Saturday hike this year, which was a lot of fun. And even though it was a colder morning, it was really refreshing to get out and be in community with other believers. So I put in this little tip-in of this Holy Saturday hike guide that we created for all of the participants, and on the back it has "This is my Father's World," which was one of the songs that we sung when we reached the summit of where we were hiking. And then underneath it, I also have some photos because we stopped for some Thai food afterward, and I just did some photos and did a little collage, and then also put some stickers and did some hand lettering as well. So I really love how this little corner of the page turned out, and then the rest is just my journaling and a few other little stickers to help bring the page together. And then of course, the day that is the cornerstone of our faith, it would not exist if it was not for Easter and Jesus rising again. He is risen indeed. This is what it's all about. And so I absolutely adore the way that this page turned out. I could not be happier with it. It might be my favorite page. And it also just documents some really, really lovely memories. We had a really sweet and special Easter. Ben's parents came over to join us for church in the morning, so we got to have them come to our church and worship with them. And then we went on a really beautiful walk and just saw some really beautiful wildflowers and soaked in the sun. It was the most perfect weather we could have asked for. And then my dad joined us as well. Unfortunately, my mom had to work on this day, but it was really nice to get to spend the day with some of our family, especially because this was the first holiday that Ben and I hosted as a married couple and in our own place. So it was really special, and we had some amazing food, and I just know that this page is always going to bring a smile to my face as I continue to revisit my journal and look back on these wonderful memories. And then over here is a very different kind of day where things were just very simple. I had meetings all day, and so I put this wonderful journaling card on here that has these little tally marks, and I thought that was a really fitting card for representing the fact that I just had meeting after meeting, and it's like numbering all of the meetings, especially being in the Zoom land of meetings where everything's on a screen. It can be crazy tiring. Zoom fatigue is a real thing. And so I have this little sticker on here as well that says, "Life is tough, but so are you." So just a simple Monday spread. And then on this day I have some scripture stickers on here, as well as this really cute journaling card that says, "No matter how long the winter, spring will always come." And this was kind of me reflecting on some news that I got this day, that my boss was going to be retiring, which is wonderful news for her, but sad news for our office. I have a very good relationship with my boss, so that was sad to hear that she would no longer be working with us, but I know that good things will come for her and for us in the future. Spring will always come. And then I also have a little assemblage of stickers down here documenting the fact that I went on a run this day. And then over here I have a page where we had Bible study, so I just wrote out some of the things that I've been praying for recently and used this great sticker that says "Seeing God's hand in," and then gives you spaces to write what you're seeing God work in. And these stickers are from the Happy Planner Me and My Big Ideas Faith collection. I really love these stickers. And then this Find Your Tribe sticker and this Love Grows Here sticker are from the Jen Hadfield homemade hashtag sticker book from American Crafts, which is one of my favorites as well. And this big sticker that you see here at the bottom is from the Botanist Sticker Anthology, which I talk about in a more recent Journal With Me video that is also part Amazon haul. So I got this on Amazon and highly recommend that as well. So pretty simple page though overall, just a few stickers and then all of my journaling. Here is another pretty simple day for April 8th. I used this really great journaling card that says it's a beautiful day and has this neat little stitching effect on it. And so I really like that one. It came looking like that. And then I used those colors to guide the rest of my page by having just a few little stickers, as well as the detail at the bottom with the date. On April 9th, we had the opportunity to go to my pastor's house and watch a virtual banquet with them for a local nonprofit that our church often supports called Peace Promise. And the mission of Peace Promise is to help women who end up in human trafficking within our region. It's a very invisible industry that I think we can often forget can be happening in our own backyards. And beyond that, their mission is quite simple. They aim to recover hope and strengthen lives for these women. And it's just really wonderful to be able to see the ministries that your church is supporting. I think it's really important that we know what our churches are getting behind and where they are choosing to invest the ministry funds that come to them, and that they're good stewards of it. And this is certainly being good stewards of those funds. I just designed the page to represent the fact that we attended that virtual banquet and had this great little clear piece that is a little bird with peace on it, which actually is very similar to their actual logo. And then I just wrote Peace Promise. I will link Peace Promise down below in case you are interested in supporting them at all, or I would encourage you to find a similar organization that is working in your own area. I am sure, unfortunately, that this too happens in your area and that there are organizations who are fighting the good fight against it. So you could look those up, or you could check out Peace Promise and help the women in our area in central Pennsylvania. Over here is an entry documenting a day of rock climbing, which was so much fun, and used some washi and stickers and this really fun paper, and used my photos back to back to create a tip-in. And then when you flip it up, my journaling is underneath. If you want to learn more about how this entry came together, it is available as a chatty exclusive journal with me on my Patreon page. It is like a 40-minute video to create this page where I chat with you and walk you through the entire process from a blank page to this finished page that you see here. I have lots of chatty journal with me's and other exclusive videos available on my Patreon, and when you join, you get access to all of them, including new ones every month. So if that interests you, if you want more content beyond what you're getting here on my YouTube channel for free and want to support the creation of my content here on YouTube, Patreon is the way to both support me and get some additional content as well. So if you want to learn more about that page, you can do so at patreon.com/abidingkelseylee, which is linked down below. But no pressure. If not, there's tons of content here for you as well. So over here is a really lovely yet very, very, very simple entry. Really all this page is this beautiful postcard that I have here that I just taped on, and then I used different washi tapes and just layered them to create this really beautiful look down the side, and did a little bit of lettering with some of my brush pens and did a little bulleted list for my journaling. So this page probably took me all of about 5-7 minutes, but still is very creative and gets down the highlights of my day. And then on April 12th, we attended a leadership cohort meeting for our church, and they were talking about 10 ways to do missional living in practice, really practical ways that we can be more inviting in our approach to being a missionary within kind of our own backyard. And so I wrote down those 10 ideas here in my journal using these awesome journaling cards that I had that have these numbers, and you could use these for any kind of list. I just happened to use them for this purpose, and then I did my journaling down the sides. And then here on the 13th is one of my favorite entries. That's pretty much true of any entry where I break out the metallic watercolors, if you know what I mean. So here I used the metallic watercolors and my stencil to do the date on top of another printable sticker from my reading printable set that I talked about earlier. And then this little cup is from that printable set as well. And of course, that is to document the fact that I finished another book. This was a book that I read the physical print copy of, and that's The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. Not my favorite of hers, honestly. I thought the plot was a little boring. Boring might not be quite the right word. It just was, I thought it would go more places than it went, I guess would be a good way to describe it. But it was interesting to learn more about the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl. And I also, to document the book, did a little watercolor with the metallic watercolors at the bottom of the page as well, of just some of the little wheat illustrations, very similar to the book jacket. So I was just kind of trying to mirror the look of the jacket on the page. And then, of course, here at the top is a photo that I printed out of The Chosen Season 2. The Chosen is very easily becoming my favorite show. It just does a phenomenal job depicting the life of Jesus and his disciples and really just bringing the Bible to life. Highly, highly recommend The Chosen. Season 1 is available now. You can watch it completely for free, and Season 2 is currently being rolled out as we speak, episode by episode. And then on this entry, I kept it very simple with just some stickers, some hand lettering, washi tape. I did use my number stencil up here, which I have linked in my Amazon shop. Many of my top journaling supplies can be found in my Amazon shop if you check out the link in the description box. And then for this entry, because I am on our strategic planning steering committee for work, I thought it would be interesting to kind of map out what a day of meetings looks like for me, because we are in the thick of strategic planning. So I just kind of wrote down the time of the meeting and then the meeting title that was given for it, and I thought that was a fun way to document the workday. And then over here is, again, a super simple entry, just using a few little stickers, this great little paper piece that I had that I did the date on, and then I just did some hand lettering to document the fact that I watched my other favorite show, which is Heartland, and I have a little horse sticker here, which, fun fact, is actually a unicorn sticker, but I just cut off the little horn and made it just a plain old good horse. I really love how the colors of this entry work together. They sort of were built off of this photo, which documents this scallop and mushroom fettuccine that I made that was super, super delicious. And I had this little sticker with the pots and pans that has this blue and red and yellow in it, which also mirrors the photo really well. And that's kind of what I built the rest of the page around, by bringing in this little washi strip here that has those colors in it too, and then using the same colors in the other stickers that I chose with the hearts and the Hello Weekend sticker and the date. And then this next entry is one that is very busy, but I'm okay with it because it documents a wonderful day. And that, of course, is April 17th. And on this day, Ben and I went to see Queen Esther at Sight and Sound Theater, and I made a little collage of photos from that day. This was my birthday gift from him, and he did very, very well because the show was absolutely phenomenal. If you've never seen a Sight and Sound theater production, it is Broadway level, and what's amazing about it is that it's completely created new. So they write the script, they develop the scenery, the costumes, everything from scratch, and they're all bringing the Bible to life. So of course, Queen Esther is the whole book of Esther brought to life on stage. It is amazing. I was completely wowed by the whole production. So I used the program cover here in the journal so that I had that. And then I made the tickets into a pocket. I just taped them on the sides and then made a little pocket that I have my journaling on, talking about the show. And on this day, we also, before going to see the show, went to Lancaster Archery Supply so that Ben could get 2 new bows, and he was very excited because they were having a huge sale, and so we had a very productive shopping outing for him. And we also went to dinner at a brewery, and that was our day. And I also made this fun little handpiece using a stencil and some of my shimmery sprays, and I really loved the way that that turned out, and I thought it had a very Persian feel to it, which of course was fitting for the page about Queen Esther. These next few entries I won't talk about too much because I actually have a very long journal with me for them, because it was a journal with me live in which we were catching up on our journaling together. So I did the next 4 entries on that journal with me live, and I have a playlist of my journal with me lives that I will put up here for you. But essentially the quick overview is that I went for coffee on this day with friends at a local cafe because we needed to meet up about a church event, and then we went for a beautiful walk afterwards, used this great bluebell sticker to document that. And then this entry over here tells quite the story, as you might be able to tell from the little dog illustration in a bath and the little egg stickers that are on here, and then of course the hand lettering that says, "Pop goes the rotten egg, into the bath goes Jeannie." So the short version of the story is that we were playing with Jeannie in our front yard area, and someone had thrown an egg somehow into the yard that rotted completely, and she stepped on it, and it basically exploded because of having like the built up gases in it, and made a huge popping noise, and the stench that just consumed her was horrendous. So she needed to go immediately into the bath, and it was quite the disruption to our evening that we were not expecting, but it does make for a funny story to put into the journal. And then I won't talk too much about these pages. They are very, very simple, mostly just using washi. This particular washi strip is from my latest printables, which is the Spring Favorites collection, so I really love the way that that turned out. But otherwise, these entries are focused on prayer and praises and just praying about things happening currently in my life. These next few entries are fun because I did them on the go. I was at my in-laws' house, and so I had just brought a few supplies with me and told myself that I had to only use what I brought and just get some journaling done. And one of the supplies that I brought were my metallic watercolors. And so I had a lot of fun playing with the metallic watercolors to do different things, like creating a garlic bread illustration of all things, as well as some little leaf doodles, and then also coloring in some stenciling that I had done, which I did on this page as well for Friday. And I just love the look of the metallic. And then my favorite part of this page is down here with the little sun peeking out, and then the stickers over top of it. And then beyond these stencils and the metallic watercolors and stickers, I just brought pens to be able to do some hand lettering, and then washi tape, and these elements were things that I had cut out in advance, prepared to stick down on these pages. So I actually really love the way that these turned out, and I think they would have turned out differently had I been in my craft room and had all of the options of supplies available to me. So I actually recommend, if you feel like you're in a little bit of a creative rut right now, maybe try limiting your supplies and picking 5 things that you are going to force yourself to create an entry with. And you might be surprised by the results when you limit yourself and force yourself to be creative in new ways and to think about supplies a little bit differently than you might have otherwise. I really love the way that this page turned out with this sort of collage-like feel in the middle of all of these different stickers and photos and washi tape layered together with some little star illustrations in between. I just thought it turned out really nicely with then, of course, my journaling running throughout. And then this one over here is a great example of keeping things pretty simple with just one focal point on the page, which of course was this cutout of the takeout menu from a restaurant that we went to. And then around it I used the metallic watercolors again to do sort of a little wreath of basil leaves, since of course that was the restaurant name. And then the rest of it is just my journaling all through the page, which is a really beautiful look all in itself. Is just seeing the words on the page, to me, is magic. Here again, nothing too crazy or creative. Washi tape, a few stickers, a little bit of hand lettering. And then on the 27th, I used a receipt to document going out to eat and did some big hand lettering for my second dose of my COVID vaccine, which on the next day totally knocked me down. This was an absolute sick day for me. I could not believe all of the symptoms that just hit me all of a sudden in the middle of the night. I thought I was going to be fine given how I felt after the shot, and then at 3 a.m. in the morning I woke up with chills and a fever and just all of the flu-like symptoms. So I documented the symptoms with this little sticker here and used my white gel pen to write down some of the symptoms that I had. And then I had this great sticker that says today has been canceled, which is pretty much what happened to this whole day. I just ended up on the couch. And then some other stickers to do the date here and some washi tape. And then I used some of my Prismacolor pencils to do the lettering of sick day. And then April 29th is a really excellent example of a minimalist page and how beautiful that can be, where I just did the date at the top, used a journaling card that I did some hand lettering on to write always come back home to me, and then just did a little bit of journaling in a box that I drew at the bottom, and that was it for this entry. Basically just documenting that I was happy to have Ben home after he was away on a work trip. Conveniently, while I was sick as a dog, he got out of that one, but he came home late on this night, and so it was nice to be able to spend the evening with him on the 29th. And then that of course brings us to April 30th, which is not only the last day of the month, but also the last day in this insert, which just worked out so perfectly in the number of pages. And so April 30th was a Friday in which I went home to my parents' house, and my dad very kindly picked us up some Friendlies, which was the first Friendlies that I have had, I'm pretty sure, since high school. And I documented that by doing a little watercolor illustration of my ice cream. And then I also documented the toppings that I put on my ice cream, of course, using this little sticker. And then I just put a lot of other little stickers and doodles around it and wrote Friday at the top. And I also finished the day with a Hallmark movie. So I had this little piece that I had done a long time ago, actually, that my mom used the foil quill pen with her Cricut machine to create this little Hallmark icon thing for me and put that on the page here. So that is the entry for my final entry, not only for April but for the entire insert. The first one completed in my abiding journal. I'm so excited to have a journal that is literally filled with every memory, January 1st through April 30th, 2021, a page for every single day, all of the major moments documented. It is such a blessing to be able to look back on this and have these moments documented and to explore my creativity and just have the therapy of doing something productive with my hands is a huge blessing. And of course, writing out your thoughts is as well. So lots of benefits in the moment and then also long-term as well for journaling. So that would be my encouragement to you. If you enjoyed looking inside my journal, if this was inspiring to you, please go grab a journal, open it up. It doesn't have to be creative to this degree. You don't have to write as much as I do. You can do whatever you want with it because it is your journal, but I would encourage you to find ways to be creative and to document your life. And I know many of you are already doing this in your own abiding journals. And now I would like to share with you some of the journal entries that our community has been sharing using the hashtag MyAbidingJournal2021 on Instagram. We also have a Facebook group where women are sharing their journaling as well. So if you're not already part of those communities, I would encourage you to join them and consider sharing your own journaling with us too. But for now, let's take a peek at some of your entries from April in your abiding journals. So amazing, fam. You continue to wow me with your talent and creativity and your perseverance in getting to month 4. We are heading into month 5 in our abiding journals, and I encourage you, even if you have fallen into a bit of a slump, I know that I have in my journaling. I'm quite a few days behind, which I may choose to catch up on, or I may choose to skip and just start on whatever day I happen to be on at that time. So there are no rules when it comes to journaling. You can pick up a pen whenever it feels right to you. So with that, friends, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please do give it a thumbs up if you did, so that YouTube knows to share it with others. And I would love to have you join our community in deeper ways by subscribing and hitting that notification bell, leaving a comment letting me know how your journaling is going, what was your favorite entry for this month in my abiding journal, and maybe consider checking out Patreon as well to get access to our printables and exclusive videos over there. So thank you so much for watching, fam, and hanging out with me and taking a little peek into my life and into my journaling. I really do hope that it inspired you, and I look forward to hanging out with you again very soon in future videos. Until then, keep exploring your abiding creativity and document a life abiding in faith, hope, and love.